Welcome to the Pepsi Center. I am Matt Smith. This is Anilo Piro back again for Mile High Sports. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. Nuggets find their third win in a row tonight, 125-107 over the Magic. That is 7 of their last 9 games they have won. They are 5-1 on their season-long 6-game homestand that wrapped up tonight. And Anilo, they're first place in the Northwest Division right now. They began their homestand last place in the Northwest Division. Tons of growth in the last 2 weeks from the Nuggets, and again, stringing it together in one of their best offensive performances of this early season.
No, without a doubt. And I mean, I don't know a proper word, I guess, that you could use to kind of describe this homestand, but I mean, the word that I would use is incredible. I mean, the fact that they were able to go 5-1 and kind of reboot their season, or not reboot, but kind of kick it into gear per se, and really start to, get things going, starting to mesh on the court. They took care of a lot of business that they needed to tonight on the court, and that's kind of carried over here over the season-long 16 homestand. So 5-1 with the lone loss coming against the Golden State Warriors. I don't think you could ask for much better production from the Nuggets in this one.
Yeah, definitely not. And Mike Malone, head coach Mike Malone, very happy after this one. This is a Nuggets team who has, like Anilo said, really begun to mesh here in the month of November. And tonight they were led by Jamal Murray with a career-high 32. And in response to Emmanuel Mudiay's game the other night, leading the team with 21. We talked about that point guard competition battle on, what was it, Thursday?
All the days are blending together.
They're all blending together with this many at home. But a very impressive performance tonight from Murray. And as we saw, when he is going and he's knocking down open threes, the Nuggets are extremely hard to guard because they space the floor, unlike many NBA teams. And with the way Paul Millsap and Nikola Jokic are playing together right now, things are looking up for this Nuggets team. Nikola in a very jovial mood after this one.
Yeah, very laughable. I mean, that's just kind of how he always is.
Right.
Nikola Jokic is just such a weird guy to be around in terms of coverage, because he's just not like the traditional NBA star, who lives and dies with playing in the NBA. I mean, for Jokic, it's more like playing in the NBA is his day job, and he goes home and plays Call of Duty at night. He's just that kind of a player. I mean, he was posed the question, they go to Portland now, and he says, is this a little bit of a rivalry game? And he says, whatever, it's just another game and whatnot. So very nonchalant from him, but he was overall very happy the fact that they got the win. As long as the team's winning, he's happy and whatnot. But a great night from him. He just stuffed the sheets. I mean, rebounds, assists, double-double. His 8th double-double in 10 games for Nikola Jokic. I mean, he has been on fire for the most part here in recent times. So Jokic gets things going, Murray gets hot, and Barton, I think, is another guy. Will Barton stepped up tonight and had another impressive game, filling in for Gary Harris as the starting shooting guard. So a lot of good stuff all across the board. And I think one of the biggest takeaway that I take away from this 5-1 homestand is they were able to, you saw the improvement from one aspect to the other, and they did that in multiple aspects, whether it be turnovers, rebounding, three-point shooting, inside scoring, defense all around. They really checked off a lot of boxes that they needed to on this homestand.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And to bring up the guys you mentioned that were playing so well tonight, a part of their 58 combined points from their starting backcourt was Will Barton, who had 26 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists, like you said, in place of Gary Harris, who was injured with that shoulder. It was actually interesting. Gary got injured on one of the most key possessions in the last game against OKC, but Barton, who, for all intents and purposes, gives you the production of what a starter would on most given nights, he really stepped up in his opportunity, and like Malone said, took full advantage. Emmanuel Mudiay, also 12 points off the bench, 6 Nuggets in double figures, all 5 starters, and Mudiay as well. That is now 10 of 12 games this season that Emmanuel Mudiay has scored in double digits. And we talked about the point guard competition. Anilo, it's hotter than it's ever been right now.
Yeah, I mean, one gets in front of the other, and the other takes a step back and whatnot. But at the end of the day, this is a good problem for Denver to have. Especially considering the fact that they did not trade for Eric Bledsoe, they did not make a trade for a point guard, and that they are rolling the dice on a 21 and a 20-year-old point guard respectively. Obviously, you want to try to get that consistency going with both of them. But I mean, if they interchange, that's not the end of the world. But fact of the matter is, like you said, Matt, 10 of 12 games this season that Mudiay has been in double figures, and Jamal Murray with a season-high career-high 32 points in tonight's victory. So things are trending in the right direction for the Nuggets at point guard.
They certainly are, and offensively, that's no question. This was the 3rd game this season. They've scored over 120 points, the 2nd over 125, and it's a good way to bookend this homestand with over 125 25-point performances.
For sure.
So for Denver, you have to be really pleased with what you've seen offensively. Defensively, they hold the Magic to 107 points tonight. Nikola Jokic was somewhat indifferent on the fact that they did that.
Yeah, I think that's good, whatever, or something along the lines of that. But I'm very disinterested, you know, nonchalant, we got the win, a win's a win and whatnot. So typical Jokic form.
And here's what I want to bring up, and I think this is the most important point, and head coach Michael Malone mentioned this after the game. For the Nuggets to be the team that they want to be, they have to beat teams they're supposed to. And tonight was another step in the right direction. And this brings us into an interesting point. The Nuggets have 2 games in their next 7 days. Scheduling-wise, we've been talking about this being the season-long 6-game homestand. They have 15 of their next 22 games on the road and 15 of their next 23 to close 2017. This is a team that made huge strides in a short period of time early this season, but it was essential that they did that because they're going to be tested. They've passed pretty much all their big tests outside of maybe Golden State this season. A few bad losses early on, but I really think that for this Denver team, you've got to be really happy with the performance over the last week and a half, especially with the fact that Paul Millsap and Nikola Jokic are starting to play so well together, because Anilo, that is maybe the biggest key for the Nuggets team the rest of this season.
No, yeah, without a doubt. I actually wrote a piece on this for MileHighSports.com ahead of the 6-game homestand and how this was an opportunity for them to base themselves this season. You know, not necessarily set the expectations and whatnot, but really kind of start to get going. And I think you kind of alluded to that. I think it was, what, 15 of 22 of their next games are on the road. So that's going to be a tough stretch, but they've based themselves now, again, 5-1 on this season-long 6-game homestand. It's time for this team to, you know, have this now carry over on the road, because if they want to make the playoffs in the ultra-competitive Western Conference, they're going to have to be able to win on the road. And like you alluded to, they entered in this homestand last in their division, and they finished first. It's going to be an arms race till the end, with teams flip-flopping in the standings in the division and whatnot. So Denver needs to do themselves a favor and continue to execute on the court.
And the most important thing for Denver, and I think the biggest key to success over the next month, is consistency.
Yes.
It's staying in a one-game mentality, because you have some really, really big games ahead of you, including their next, which is on Monday. They will go to Portland. It is the first time they've played a road game since October 30th when they lost to the Knicks. Nuggets are 2-3 on the road this season, and that's a big game with Portland, because that's the team that knocked them out of the playoffs last season. Don't you think that they don't remember that one? So Kenneth Faried mentioned tonight that game he certainly got circled on his calendar.
Exactly. It's going to be an energetic game. And I mean, here's the fact of the matter is, coming off this 5-1 on the 6-game homestand, I mean, your spirit shouldn't be riding any higher. I mean, you come off now 3 wins in a row, a day off tomorrow before you head into Portland to do war. And I mean, there's no reason that the Nuggets should not at least be in this game to the very end. I mean, I think this is a game that they should win wholeheartedly if they truly have that vengeance that I think they need to have if they want to make the playoffs, and kind of go out and get what you need to do, get it done, and take care of business and whatnot. So it's going to be an interesting game against Portland. But like you said, one that a lot of players have had circled on their calendar. Yusuf Nurkic, the former Denver Nugget who plays with them now. Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum. There's a ton of different storylines, and 2 teams that, quite frankly, are very kind of evenly skilled in terms of talent on the roster. So promises to be a good one. So I guess we'll have to see what happens, Matt.
Yeah, after that one, the Nuggets' next game is the next Friday here against the Pelicans. That is their next home game, November the 17th. Should be an interesting one, and definitely some, I think, well-deserved time off for this Denver Nuggets team, who went 5-1 on their season-long 6-game homestand. I am Matt Smith. This is Anilo Piro. We will see you next week from the Pepsi Center.